Narcissism, yeah. Yello, my name is Ivan Montero, and thank you for joining me on my journey to watch every TV show and every sitcom ever created. Not really, but we are gonna get close. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for Ahsoka Episode 3. Honestly, this is my first ever spoiler-filled review. I don't want to get into making more spoiler discussion reviews and breakdowns, so, might as well start with this one. Like I said, I wanted a little bit of a break from reactions because, you know, time and money. So we're gonna start with Ahsoka. But before we begin, I wanna let you guys in on a little secret. Well, it's not really much of a secret. It's just my Patreon, where you can watch the full-length reactions to movies and TVs that I've reacted to on YouTube and have exclusive Patreon reactions. So go ahead and check that out. I actually want to start making more exclusive Patreon content that isn't just reactions. So please go ahead and check that out for yourself, as well as my website, as I am a freelance video producer, screenwriter, photographer, and graphic designer. So if you have needs in any of those services, I can help you out. Just send me a message and I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. But my thoughts on this episode, honestly, I have a little bit of a mixed feelings about it. They're mostly good. I really enjoyed it, but there's just, I'll talk about the not good, which is, it's not bad. It's just a couple things that concern me. I'm concerned. But overall, this episode was insanely fun and beautifully shot. But it felt very short, and we are only 3 episodes in on an 8-episode show. But on the flip side, episode 3 provided a lot of character work, great Easter eggs, and amazing cinematography. And I mean cinematography. This show is surprisingly very cinematic. I don't know about you, but I loved the care for well thought out cinematography. This episode felt very filmmaker-y to me, and I appreciate it. And I looked up the director for this episode, and I realized I actually made a mistake, or half a mistake, for last week's review. Turns out, Dave Filoni only directed the first episode, and Steph Green, an Oscar and Emmy-nominated director, directed episodes 2 and 3. She's done amazing directing work on other shows like The Book of Boba Fett, Watchmen 2019, and The Man in High Castle, to name a few. Honestly, she did an amazing job with this episode, especially this episode. My praises for 2 solid episodes. I really am a sucker for delicious cinematography, and this cinematography might as well be cinematography. This cinematography was delicious, especially during Sabine's training montage. Well, it's not really a montage, it was more of a scene. It's a training scene. I can already tell that people are probably gonna complain about this scene, seeing that we've already seen Sabine being trained with a lightsaber. Well, we haven't seen her be trained 3 times, we just know that this is the 3rd time if you're, that crack.
Hey, that's what she said.
This is the 3rd time that she is training with a lightsaber, if you're counting the first time she trained with the darksaber in Rebels, the 2nd time offhand or off screen, and the 3rd time what we got in the 3rd episode. But people can complain all they want because I love this scene. Especially because you can see Sabine's raw emotions even while her whole face was covered and blindfolded. That's acting. Natasha Leo Bordizzo, whose name I mispronounced accidentally and didn't even realize until I was editing in last week's review, I'm sorry, but you're an actor. The only thing I didn't like about the scene was that I feel like it was a little too long. I enjoyed it, but I thought it took up a scooch too much time from the overall episode. Honestly, that might be an editing thing more than a writing and directing thing. Rosario Dawson, especially during this scene, continues to nail Ahsoka's mannerisms. Honestly, she's perfect. The only nitpick I have is that I kinda wish that she would make her voice just a little bit higher to help distinguish between Rosario Dawson and Ahsoka Rosario Dawson. But she has nailed down the speech pattern exactly. I don't know, it's just been a very long time since I've seen a show where every actor is actually acting because they want to act and they want to be there. But speaking of Ahsoka, I loved her lesson in this scene, and the one piece of advice we all need to hear: start small. What's interesting is that Luke started off with little rocks as well, and Sabine is starting off with a cup that is clearly made out of stone, or at least a stone-like material. So it's kind of really cool to see those 2 parallels between Sabine and Luke Skywalker. And now that we're sort of talking about actors in this episode, I just want to point out that Shin Hati is so boss. She's different from other villains. She's calm, she's cold, she's collected, but she's calculative. No one's really that just calm and just null and numb for no reason. She's calculative, man. I bet she's gonna become a real force of opposition for our heroes. I cannot wait. I mean, they already had her and Sabine fighting with a lightsaber, and Sabine lost, so you absolutely know there's gonna be a rematch. Once Sabine learns how to use a force, maybe. Who knows? I mean, we're probably gonna get Ezra as well, so it might be Shin Hati against Sabine, Ahsoka against Baylan, and Ezra against Merrick, maybe. I don't know. We will see. But like I said, Shin Hati has all the characteristics, all the attributes of a powerful individual, so I'd keep my eyes on her. And I just need to say that Mary Elizabeth Winstead did a much better job in this episode than in episode 1 and 2, in my opinion. She still feels a little like a downer, soft-spoken version of Hera. Maybe that's just me. But when her argument with the council at the beginning of the episode, I was like, yeah, we got our Hera back. And I am sorely disappointed that it seems that we're not going to get much of Hera this season, seeing as that she's not going to go on the mission with Ahsoka and Sabine to go get Ezra, which it perplexes me. Dave Filoni, what are you doing? But we will see how the show goes moving forward. I do hope we get more of Hera. I am convinced. And when those space whales broke through those clouds and we heard the high-pitched PURGLE noises, I was like, damn it! Maybe I should have been reacting to this whole time. But the space whales, known as the PURGLEs, are whales that can travel through hyperspace at incredible lengths. They were introduced in Rebels, and I don't know, I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, I guess this is a kid's show. And then the finale happened in Rebels, and I was like, yep. This is really cool. And now we got to see them in live action, and it's even cooler. I didn't think that space whales could get cooler, but they did somehow. But I understood Sabine's excitement because she is correct. That potentially means Ezra, and we know that we are going to get some Ezra and Thrawn later on in this season. Hopefully not by the end of the season. That will be dumb if we only get like 1 or 2 episodes of Thrawn and Ezra. I would be okay with 3, but it has to be like full episodes. And Star Wars really said, we've done a giant ball in space too many times now. What other shapes can we do? A ring! Perfect! As silly as I presented it, I actually do like that idea, though it's a little on the nose. I still like it regardless. I do wonder how Ahsoka and Sabine are gonna get onto the ship, because the ship, seeing as this is the only way to travel from galaxy to another galaxy far, far away without the use of a PURGLE, or Ezra using a PURGLE. And I assume that's where Ezra and Thrawn are, in a galaxy far, far away. I mean, they kind of clearly said that they are, but I can't wait to see what this looks like, because it's the first time we're gonna see something that is not in the galaxy far, far away. Are you following? But I'm pretty sure that this hyperspace ring star is going to get them there, get them all there. And yes, I'm going to forever refer to it as hyperspace ring star. But that whole scene gave us lightsabers in space. Something I didn't know I would be so happy to see. But the way she was floating around in space, waving around those white lightsabers, oh, 'twas pretty indeed. It reminded me a lot of Rey versus Kylo Ren in his TIE fighter in The Rise of Skywalker. What a neat little callback. Who do you think did it better, Rey or Ahsoka? Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? But I was really glad that they didn't force fly her through space like they did with General Leia in The Rise of Skywalker in The Last Jedi. The last thing I liked about this episode and the show so far is that this is very much a contained story. Andor felt huge in scope, including an arc with Mon Mothma and a few other characters, but it felt maybe a little too widespread. At least it did for me. We're going to talk in just a second about how this show feels a little too small in scale at times, but on the flip side, the story feels like it's concentrating on these cast of characters specifically, and it also feels as if it's trying to tell one story without having a lot of plot threads everywhere, so I fully appreciate that. Dave Filoni has his goal in sight, and he is aiming right for it. However, you need to compromise on a few things here and there to save money for the space meat. This episode felt very small when it got to the hyperspace ring star because all of the workers were droids, and in the final shot we only got a handful of human workers alongside Baylan. So those moments felt just a little cheap to me, but it's not a reflection on the whole show. It narratively makes sense for these specific enemies to have a very small crew, considering who they are, what they've been through, and what they just came out from. These are creative choices, but I did feel like there was a tad small. Another thing I didn't like was the fact that this episode is only 29 minutes long, excluding credits. There's no post-credit scene in this episode, so that's 5 full minutes of credits and only 29 minutes of content. Yikes. Is this a sign that Ahsoka is going to suffer the same fate of The Mandalorian Season 2, the Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan instead of following and surpassing Andor? I certainly hope for the latter. Who knows, maybe the next 5 episodes are all closer to an hour and I will just eat my words. I mean, it's only 8 episodes. I feel like I would maximize the amount of episode time that I have to show. If I have an hour to show for an 8 episode show and we have a lot to go through, I'm gonna show a whole hour. Why only 29 minutes, man? Disney Plus, you're making me pay for so little. And the last thing I'm not really enjoying on this show so far is the fact that this is very clearly not Ahsoka's show. Sure, it shares her name and she is the front and center character on a technicality that the show is using her IP for tax purposes. I know how these things work, but back to the show we are. 3 episodes in so far and we are getting more character development on Sabine rather than on Ahsoka, and I'm just... I mean, sure, she's more older, she's more mature, so what is she gonna learn? But, like, it doesn't feel like Ahsoka's show because she's not going through anything, any struggles or any character, emotion, anything. She's just there. It feels like Rebels Season 5, but honestly, it feels more like a Sabine show. Which I'm kind of not complaining because I like Natasha Leigh Bordizzo's portrayal of Sabine in this, and she's doing great. I'm sure we're gonna get more solo Ahsoka stuff later on. I just don't call it Ahsoka if it's gonna be a blatant season 5 of Rebels, because now everyone has to do so much homework just to watch the show. Like I said, it's a lot of homework, but it's fine. It's fine. It's really, really good and really cool so far. So that was my spoiler review for Ahsoka Episode 3. What did you guys think of this episode? Let me know down in the comments below. You can check out my social media links in the description below, including all the links to my Snapchat, Twitter /X, Threads, Instagram, my Patreon, and my website. So please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more reviews and videos on TV and movies. And like this video if you liked it, and I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.